Pretty sure everything on this channel is for educational purposes only and is not to be misconstrued as financial advice, as investment or trading any of these coins may actually result in total loss entirely. So today's Wednesday. What could go wrong Wednesday? We're going to talk about some altcoins. Maybe this is for you, maybe it is not. If there's something specific that I did not cover in today's video, please in the comments below let me know what you want me to talk about, because I will be more than happy to talk about it next week. I'll also be sure to put all of the links in today's video in the description of the video. I'll be adding timestamps, the whole shebang. Previously, years ago, 6 years ago, I used to do these altcoin extravaganza videos, which were mega massive, huge. Everybody's talking about them. You couldn't swing a cat on the street without people talking about the altcoin extravaganza videos. What I'd like to do, obviously I'm doing this because I'm trading it myself, I will put some sort of watch list on a thumbnail if there's anything worth mentioning. To this week, spoiler alert, it's all trash, sorry. I'll get to that towards the latter half here. I've also done videos for BNC, weekly roundup, 52 videos. If you're curious, again, historically, what I've looked at, what I was looking at, how I looked at things. If you want a deeper dive on certain coins in DeFi before successive videos are released on this channel, there's plenty of stuff to look at here, right? And as far as some other important stuff that I'll probably never mention again, but is definitely worth a bookmark. If you're new, if you're unaware, DeFi Llama, one of the best data sites for the DeFi ecosystem, probably period, end of story, other than maybe Dune Analytics. I would argue that this is even better than Dune because it curates the information for you. Don't get me wrong, Dune is amazing, but you have to know what you're doing. People love to flock to TVL like moths on a flame. I think it's only useful as far as trying to understand sentiment in the market. Okay, if TVL is flat as a pancake, okay, not many people are too excited about throwing money into projects here. And you can slice and dice this all you want. You know, it has all the chains, it's everything, right? It's literally exactly what you should want. It's perfect. It's perfect in every way. They're constantly shipping new things, right? Not a sponsor. They're just really good at what they do, and it's all free. So I really like the way they present this information for TVL. Another really good free resource here is stablecoin flows, stablecoin information, what chains they're sitting on, right? This becomes more relevant when you're seeing stablecoin activity on certain chains or certain side chains, blah, 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 right? Right now, it's all about Tether. And I would argue most of the Tether issuance here isn't actually going into trading per se. It's going into store value for emerging markets that are dealing with crazy inflation. Lebanon, Turkey, Ukraine to some degree, South America, right? So an important factor here, some hidden alpha, if USDC ever turns around in the circulating supply department, the bottom blue line here. These are the only two that matter right now, by the way. Don't care about anything else. You can look at DAI, Frax, whatever. I don't care. TUSD, doesn't matter. Until USDC turns a corner, I think alts do poorly. I think DeFi does poorly. USDC turning a corner would likely signal rates coming down. Okay, this is where we go back to Macro Monday and why rates are so important. If rates go up, risk off becomes more attractive, less speculation, probably less people trading DeFi and alts, okay? The other part of this is if you're seeing USDC circulating supply increase, you're probably seeing a relaxation of the regulatory stranglehold on crypto in the US, or some sort of regulatory bill that signifies the USDC is okay, right? They're trying to do everything right. They're trying to be on the up and up, completely buttoned up, and they're just getting pummeled in the circulating supply market share race relative to Tether. So between rates and regulations, those are the things to watch for alt, DeFi, yield, whatever, right, across the board. That's going to be another theme I'm going to mention later on as well. Something else on DeFi Llama worth taking a look at are the VC funding raises, which again have collapsed, right? This is all about eyeballs, attention, sentiment. You're not seeing a lot of excitement for alts in general here. Okay, broad strokes, you're not seeing excitement. You could say such and such NFT project, blah, blah, blah. Okay, but that's not going to move the needle for me. At some point in time, I'll talk about NFTs on this weekly video. Today's not that day, but the alpha here is you can look for, you know, sort by X chain and see, is there a lot of attention, you know, going into a certain altcoin from a VC perspective? Certainly that was the case for Solana, for Near, for, you know, XYZ layer 1, right? That was definitely the case. Will we ever have that type of VC fervor again? I don't know, but this is the data you want to look at when you're looking for such things. On the fundamental side of things, again, I'm probably never going to bring this up ever again unless there's something to say, but Artemis.xyz does a really great job of bringing together a bunch of layer 1s and non-layer 1s and lets you compare what are the active addresses, what are the transactions, again, TVL, tons and tons of data, free, okay? And essentially for me, what this does is aggregate everything in one place, so that way I don't have to go to all these explorers and look at, okay, what is Snowflake on Avalanche telling me, or what is Solana Beach telling me, or what is Etherscan telling me. You know, you can look at this in one go and just see who's leading in active addresses, right? What is the trend like? What are the non-Bitcoin leaders in active addresses, right? Whatever you want to do, it's all here. And they are also, much like DeFi Llama, constantly adding and changing stuff. Tons of other stuff here I'm not even going to talk about. I'm going to bring up dominance again. I talked about it Sunday. I'm going to talk about it next Sunday, okay? But this should set the tone in your mind across the board, not financial advice. Okay, if dominance is dominating, alts are not the play. They just are not the play. And yes, we can put TA on this. There is a multi-year channel we are emerging from, like a beautiful butterfly from a cocoon, right? We have metamorphosed into just back into Bitcoin. That's where it's at. There is a TA target on this channel where I predict alts may start to look a little bit better, but until then, it's going to be a rough go. Again, regulation is a huge problem here because you're risking, if you're investing into any of this, yes, you can access it through DeFi, but you are risking delisting, okay? Just follow the MATIC stuff for Robinhood that's happened over the past couple weeks and over the past day. You know, Jump has had to do a bunch of $1 million OTC transactions for MATIC to deal with Robinhood's delisting of that coin, right? You don't want to be in a place where you are holding on to something that is being forcibly sold or delisted, okay? That's never bullish. I'm sorry. It just will never be bullish. So please keep that in mind. Right now, dominance is where it's at. Now we start to get into the fun stuff with, I'm going to go indices, and then I'm going to go into individual coins at the very end. Another way you can slice and dice this is look at total 2. It's the market cap excluding Bitcoin. The yellow highlights here are Bitcoin's halving. Now, you might argue, and I might agree with you, that Bitcoin's halving is actually more important for alts than it is for Bitcoin, okay? Look what happened in 2016. Look what happened in 2020. Again, part of this is attention. Part of this is retail speculation. Part of this is integer bias, when I can buy 10,000 Doge, where I can only buy 0.00002 Bitcoin, right? And you can put TA on this. And from a TA perspective, you're going to hear me say this a few times in the video, it is in the ignore channel, okay? Bitcoin dominance was previously in the ignore channel. It was just ranging. Okay, great. Generally, when we're ranging like this on anything, you're not seeing a massive shift in market reactions. Yes, we went from, let's say, 48 to 38 on dominance. That's a pretty big deal several times, right, in 2 years. But when we're bouncing around like that, you're not really seeing too many dislocations generally. And if you're a range trader, you're fat and happy. If you're a trend trader, you're angry, right? So I'm a trend trader. I prefer set it and forget it type of trades. So right now, you cannot argue any other shape here other than just consolidation. I'm going to zoom in on this a bit. But again, another example where you can turn to look at alts broadly, right? So you don't have to look at 50 different alts. You don't have to look at a screener. You just look at an index, right? We have the technology, okay? This is total 3. This is market cap minus Bitcoin minus ETH. I've also stripped stablecoins from this. I've stripped wrapped Bitcoin from this. If you go down the market cap list, you know, there's a bunch of stuff that you could argue is redundant even in total 2. You know, wrapped ETH, I couldn't strip it out on TradingView, but that's another one, right? And this is just literally what is in the ticker box on TradingView. I'll put this in the description of the video so you can pull it up yourself if you want to watch it. But again, what does this tell you? This tells you we're ranging. It's certainly not for me. It's a massive ignore, and it certainly doesn't look bullish, right? So again, there's nothing in the world here telling me alts are the place to be right now, and or even thinking about buying alts right now. Okay, it's just not happening. I don't care about alts until this chart is above 291 billion, whatever this is. But it's probably going to Goblin Town. That's probably where alts are going. There are other types of indices you can watch. CoinDesk, I looked for a bunch of these. I didn't find many great ones. Obviously, there's DPI. I'll get to that in a second. But Coinbase has a pretty decent index as well. DFX. Really, you want to be able to pull these up on TradingView so that you can set alerts for certain levels, right? Now you can always set a bookmark for DFX, say when it's above 200, then it starts to get interesting. Down here, not very interesting. Another thing you need to know probably for these indices is what is in them, right? Some of these don't really contain a lot of stuff. Most of them are market cap weighted. Most of them have Uniswap in them heavily, and lending, right? It's typically DEXs and borrowing and lending coins. A little bit of a stable coin situation in here as well, but it's important to know what you're looking at, right? Now here's DPI. This is DeFi Pulse Index. It's a weird ticker. I'm pretty sure this is correct. It looks correct. The best DeFi index on those older videos, you'll see FTX actually had a really good DeFi index. Now that was market cap weighted as well. But again, this is basically just DPI, not against ETH, but isolated. This does not look bullish, okay? You get this parabolic down move. Now you get this mega consolidation, and this is a descending triangle. This should make lower lows, okay? Now, if it starts to get above 75, 80, if it starts to make a higher high at 90, then things get super interesting. But as I sit here, I can't expect this to be a bullish conclusion. There's also another one on TradingView, Total DeFi. I don't know exactly what's in this, so you'll have to look at their documentation. But look what happened in 2018 and 2019, just flat, right? I don't want to be in the market here. I don't care. Unless you're trading the range, just doesn't matter to me. There's a little bit of an artifact, mistake, whatever this is. But Total DeFi also ranging. You could argue inverted head and shoulders. I'd say that's possible, right? But again, I don't care about this thing until it's above whatever it is, 50 billion, 500 billion. It's just totally irrelevant to me. 500 billion or 50 billion, I don't know. I'm bad at zeros. Whatever it is the equivalent of like June 2020, right? That's when things start to get moving. Until then, don't really care. Arguably, DeFi could be in Goblin Town until rates come down. So this is rates of US, Euro, and EU. And unsurprisingly, right, as rates were zero, DeFi did really well. Dumb money or speculative money, throwing money at random crap did really, really well, right, in a zero rate environment. In a not zero rate environment, things started to get much more interesting to the downside, right? We saw downward volatility. So this may be the most important chart of all of them, right? Again, back to rates. Until rates start to come down again, alts could be in trouble. Rates and regulation. One other thing I'll mention with these indices, if you're actually investing directly in them, again, make sure you know what you're getting into. Make sure you know if there's a fee or not. If there's a 2 and 20 situation, always good to look at what's in them. And let's say you want to make this yourself, in a MetaMask wallet, right? Through DEXs, you can always do that. Obviously, you're eating the trading fees yourself. But let's say I don't like Loopring Coin version 2, right? I think it shouldn't be in this index. Then you can just put it together yourself. There's also a Wisdom Tree DeFi index. This is the ticker. I tried to pull this up. I couldn't find it on TradingView. But again, these have fees associated with them. This one looks a little bit more non-junk, but you've got Wi-Fi in here, you've got Balancer, you've got some older stuff here. Sushi, right? Most people generally, I think, have very specific opinions about most of the coins in these type of indices. So it's worth just checking them out, seeing what you see. And one last thing I'll mention about the indices is we don't have this yet in crypto for the most part. And that's an equal weight index. You'll see most of these indices based on market cap. And again, you can create this yourself. It's not too hard. Take 5 coins, rebalance it, once a quarter, Bob's your uncle, or don't rebalance it ever. It's up to you. That's another way to trade around this stuff if you're trying to, dare I say, diversify in the ecosystem. ETH is an alt. Sorry, I'm not going to talk about it specifically in this video other than I put this chart on TradingView. I'm really bad at remembering to do this, but anytime there's a chart pattern or high time frame anything, I try to remember to put it in the TradingView ideas section. And I kind of break down, the trade idea here, where I think it's going. I think it's going up. I think ETH is poised for higher eventually here. But this is a 3-day chart. This is a long grind ahead of it for sure. All right, now we get to the fun part. We start to look at some TA. I'm going to stick to extremely high time frames, the 3-day or higher for the alts. I'm going to put USD pair on the left, BTC pair on the right. Now, if you're more ETH inclined, you may want to look at these against ETH. I'm going to stick to the higher caps here, and let's get started. And, you know, I pull up some of these and I have an audible gasp because, you know, you look at charts like this, if you're on an island and you don't know anything about news, you're thinking, what the heck's going on here, right? This is extreme bearishness very, very quickly. And this is the type of thing where, yes, there's an active SEC investigation, potential for selling, potential, you know, ring fencing, delisting, however you want to think about that. BNB is not getting an ETF anytime soon, right? So anything BTC denominated, it's going to get raffle stomped here. One thing I would watch is for potential bullish divergences on all these charts. So this is the 3-day. It's going to take forever. Keep that in mind. But what you want here is an eventual lower low or a series of lower lows with a higher low in momentum. Ideally, a series of higher lows in momentum. So we are nowhere near this yet. You know, I'm not catching knives in anything that looks like this, especially when dominance looks like it does, especially when the SEC is going after Binance, right? Just not going to happen. Now, you can also look for this on the USD charts as far as bullish divergences on RSI. Not even close, not yet. Now, depending on how creative you want to get, you can sort of draw this back to 2022 and say, look, Josh, there's a higher low here, there's a lower low there, there's a blah, blah, blah there. I don't think this is done. Okay, this isn't the type of bearish exhaustion I would want to see to start to get in. Not only that, on both of these charts, on many of these charts, in 2020, 2021, you know, you have a massive gap of basically nothing but straight up. So that is a disaster for price exploration in that zone because there's just no support down there. Most of these charts are also bearish based on the cloud, which is why I have it on there. Instantly, I just know, okay, right, this is nothing I want to touch. It had a shot earlier in 2023 where it sort of teased that cloud breakout. But as it sits here, you know, it's not bearish enough yet. You're going to hear me say that on every chart. Nowhere near bearish enough yet. So that's BNB. XRP, you know, they have a news event, I guess you could say. I don't really care. I don't even know where you could trade this as a US citizen anymore. BTC pair is not anything I want to touch, right? It's ranging, it's down, not a bear, not a bull div yet, right? There's nothing here against Bitcoin that makes me want to sell my Bitcoin and buy this piece of junk, okay? USD pair, you could argue potential bullish breakout here over the next couple months. You could also argue a rising wedge. This thing's probably going to spike up and down on any sort of news on the SEC case. I don't know. Not anything I'd want to touch. Along those same lines is Stellar, which is, I'm going to call it a fork of Ripple. You know, don't come after me, Stellar people. Much like Ripple, not above the cloud, but potentially above the cloud soonish. And if there's Ripple news, Stellar's going to move on that as well because they're basically the same. BTC chart looks tragic, right? So no, I'm not selling my BTC for that. That's where my entire mindset is for all these alts, right? ADA USD, best hope here is a double bottom. Maybe early bull div on the USD pair. But look at this, just collapsed since those highs. Absolutely collapsed. I like it much better at, you know, 10 cents, somewhere down there. And the BTC pair is just, it's a work of beauty, really. I mean, you have a trend channel, multiple pointing down. You're still seeing continuous lower lows in momentum. Okay, this is not a chart where I want to catch a knife. Again, it might bounce 500% from here. Great, but it's below the cloud, no bull div, and it's been nothing but doom for 2 years. Okay, so it's just not for me. Sorry. Doge. This is another one where historically, I mean, we have tons of data on this. This is a weekly chart now. Doge against Bitcoin. The best buys for Doge are 25 sats or less. There's your secret Doge alpha for the video. We are, what, a 10x away from that still? I would not touch this at all for a very long time. On the USD pair, it has also just been down only and is very far from home relative to where it broke out, you know, in the GME AMC Stimmy mania in 2020. So I I don't see any bullishness on the USD pair yet. Either I like lower lows, I like double zeros, okay? Give me some more zeros, then we'll talk. Tron, one of the few charts on the USD pair that's actually above the 3-day cloud. It did have a multi-month, multi-year really, chart pattern sort of come to conclusions. Again, I don't know where you trade this as a US individual. Tron BTC, really don't care about it until it's above 333 sats, because again, it's just ranging. I just don't care, it's not for me. Solana, this is one where I audibly gasped because I didn't realize it was at all-time lows on the BTC pair, at least based on the Kraken data. And the USD pair doesn't look great either. This is building for potential inverted head and shoulders. I don't know, but the 3-day cloud is just so bearish that I would ignore this until it's above 28. And just thinking about the BTC pair, there's probably lower lows on Binance. I didn't check, but these are both Kraken charts. Not great. That's another thing to sort of consider loosely if retail investors are looking at a specific data set and they're sort of unaware of Binance and they're seeing lower lows. There's a potential for capitulation there just because they don't have the full picture. But again, not seeing a bull div there at all. LTC, they have a halving coming up. Good for them. It's really gone nowhere since the Coinbase listing. I think that's what this was in 2017. It's above the cloud. Sure, it's probably going to move a little bit on the halving, but look at the BTC pair. It's just been ranging chop down only for years. Why would you touch this? I don't know. Dot on Kraken, USD pair irrelevant until it's above 7. Maybe it's a double bottom. Potential bull div here, much like ADA. Potential. Nothing I'm throwing money at. And the BTC pair is really a thing of beauty. I mean, this is a parabolic move to the downside. No bull div yet. Now, it would be a different story if there was a bull div on RSI. Then I'd think about getting in. But yes, you could argue falling wedge here. You could say there's a TKC clamp forming. I think it's a little too early to jump into this for me. I think this continues going lower. This is another one that, I hate to say it, but potential delisting material. MATIC is delisting material as well. And this chart doesn't look great either on the USD pair or the BTC pair. If this does not hold on these lows, where does it go? 700 sats? 350? I don't know. Not anything I want to stick around and find out as far as where this could go. Again, no bull div at all yet. A year, realistically, of momentum flipping bearish and no bull div. At least on the highs, you got a bear div. You got a little bit of a signal here on the BTC pair that the gig is up. Even on the USD pair, you had an ultimate high in RSI, followed by higher highs in price and lower RSI. That's the type of thing you're looking for on the bull side down here. Not seeing it yet. BCH, a lot of noise about this one recently. The only justification for this movement is potentially because it's going to be listed on that EDX institutional exchange. I don't know if there's any truth to that, but I mean, guys, look, it's down only against BTC since inception, 2017, 2018, whatever this is. It's got nothing, no community. It's got nothing. Okay, I don't know. I have nothing else to say other than this is probably not going too much further, I'd imagine. There was a pretty good justification for a technical reason, right, to move, right? You could say, well, this is an edge-to-edge trade. This was an inverted head and shoulders, whatever. But I don't know. That trade's done in my mind. AVAX also just crushing lows on the BTC pair. This like falling wedge, TKC clamp, no bull div just yet, right? I think it's too early. Potentially revisits those lows from June 21. And again, maybe an inverted head and shoulders here, but I don't really care about this until it's above 20 based on the cloud. Let it chop around, let it go lower. Doesn't really matter to me. Trend is very clearly not bullish. And lastly, if you've been listening this far, thank you. Like, dislike, comment, share, subscribe. This is Link. I love to give Link crap because they told you to keep buying as they were selling, right? Continuously. And there's always a narrative, right? Chainlink God on Twitter. Gotta love him. Always has some bullish news, right? It's either staking or it's, blah, 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 XYZ reason why you should hold Link. And it's really been down only since 2021. Really down only since escaping this bullish pitchfork. Another reason from a trend perspective, pitchforks are your friend. not quite seeing a bull div just yet. Now, you could argue, again, much like ADA and AVAX and whatever else that was, if you squint and zoom way in, maybe, but this is ranging, and so until it's above 7 or 8, I don't really care about it. Let it make new lows, whatever, revisit it at another time. And on the BTC pair, it's just same story, falling wedge, just down only since 2021. Till it's above the cloud, don't care, right? Just don't care. You may think, wow, this guy hates alts all the time. He's a Bitcoin maximalist. That's mostly true, but really I'm a profit maximalist. I'll trade anything, And when these things start to look good, I will tell you and I will trade them, but we're not there. One of the reasons I wanted to start this series when I did is because I know all this stuff looks as bad as it does. And this is when you start to put in the homework and make decisions around what you want to look for, levels, blah, blah, blah. Put in some stink bids, hope for some sort of mega capitulation, whatever it is. So again, like, dislike, comment, share, subscribe, and happy trading.